Ladies and gentlemen, button pushers and wrench turners, welcome to another episode of Something's Broken. My name's Tayler Goodyear and I own TG CNC Service out of Wisconsin. This past week, my old OEM that I used to work for reached out, asked me if I could go to a customer in Tennessee. There was a down machine that had been down for about 2 months, from what I understand, and there were several issues going on. So I showed up. We couldn't get the Y-axis to move, or at least the customer couldn't, and they were getting encoder alarms after swapping the motor out. So this machine has two encoders. They have a gearbox encoder, and then they have a motor encoder. And when I showed up, the machine had some alarms that would not let it boot up and move. And this is where the customer was stuck at. So Siemens has not so much Siemens side, but the manufacturer side of this. They have SI data, or safety integrated data. And on some of these machines, you have to copy SI data, confirm SI data when you're swapping components. There are certain components like encoders. When they're swapped, they have to be integrated into the system. I did this, and I was able to get the machine to boot up. Now, I don't know if this is the exact reason why I was able to get it to boot up, but that was my starting point. Just from experience back in the day when I used to work for the OEM. There was circumstances where I had to go through SI data in order to get the machine to boot up. So the machine got booted up. We got the Y-axis up so we could get to the encoder that was in the gearbox because it's underneath the spindle. That's the only way to get to it. Well, we swapped that, and that did take care of the encoder alarm, like the initial boot up encoder alarm. But when you went to go spin the spindle, immediately it would alarm out for an encoder alarm. So I was like, okay, that's may have been a problem, but we still got a problem. So I had the customer pull the back off of the motor that they installed, and we checked out the encoder that was on that, and I don't know, it just didn't look right to me compared to the one that the customer pulled off from the original motor that was on there, which they still had that encoder. So I was like, you know what, let's just swap the encoder back to what it was before, and then we'll go from there. So we swapped it back and took care of the problem. We didn't have any issues spinning the spindle. Feedback was great. No crazy ass alarms with the spindle rotating. We set orientation for a tool change position, and then ran a burn-in cycle because the machine was down for 2 months. So we ran a slow burn-in cycle just to get lubrication through the spindle again, and everything, grease kind of just tossed around and whatnot. So we ran that, and then the curtains, way cover curtains on the Y-axis, X and Y-axis, had to be replaced because one of them completely blew apart on the customer, and they asked us to do it. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. We have no problem doing that. But the thing is, doing these way cover curtains, you have to take half the fucking machine apart to do it, and it's just time consuming. It's not really that difficult. It's just there's a bunch of shit you gotta take off. I've only done it once before on this type of machine when I worked for the OEM, and yeah, it was a bitch, but we got it, no issues. So the customer, when we finished the encoder, did the burn-in, did some tool changes, no issues, got the way cover curtains lubricated. So the customer kind of looked at me with a funny face, because the way curtains came with new wipers. Well, I like to spray some WD-40 on the new wipers because that friction will cause the wiper to actually pull itself under the way curtain when it's rapidly moving. So I like this because there's no oil from the coolant or anything on it because it's brand new curtain. So it's, there's no nothing on it. So I like to lube those first initially, otherwise you could ruin the brand new wiper set that you just installed. Not a lot of people know that, but not like I'm not saying that's like that on like every machine, just on this specific type of setup, where the wiper um, is like a neoprene material, so the friction could cause it to pull itself under and rip apart brand new. So um, after we did all that, we checked everything. Everything was good. No crazy ass alarms anymore. We gave the machine back to the customer and ran parts for about 8 hours. Didn't skip a fucking beat. So, customer is happy. This is a pretty important machine for them, from what I understand. And it being down for 2 months was not good. But I'm happy I was able to go down there and get it back up and running. Man, that felt pretty good. I was I needed a win. But yeah, pretty drive down to Tennessee. That's a pretty drive. So I love that customer. Those guys are awesome. The maintenance guys are awesome. Everybody's fucking cool in there. So I don't ever mind going to that one. Contractor had a customer back home here who had a Fadal, old Fadal. I mean old, like I think 90s maybe. It might be even older than that. Uh, they had a power surge, and after the power surge, they tried to boot the machine up and they blew, I think two of the three incoming fuses on the machine. And then they sent me a picture of the surge protector on there, and there's a big old black arc mark on the board. I was like, that's not good. So we came up with an agreement, and we got my contractor in there, and he pulled the surge protector board off, and sure enough, one of the surge protectors is completely blown. So it did its job, but the machine is so old, trying to find replacement parts now is kind of a bitch. We did find quite a bit of these surge protectors on eBay, so we gave that information to the customers, like, here, this is what we think needs to be replaced in the machine, and just go ahead and order one if you can find one. You're not going to find one from the OEM, and if you do, it's going to be insanely expensive. But so I don't know how long it's going to take them to get the surge protector ordered and put in, but we recommended that we be there when they want to put it in, just in case something else is still going on. But for the most part, they can just slap it in and hook the terminals up and just see what happens. But yeah, they were happy. We were able to get out there pretty fucking quick. The response time was, I think, a day of them hitting me up. So that's good. That's good. Next week is pretty busy for the most part. Monday, I have a Doosan turret alignment at the same place that this customer has a Positron. It's like a quick disconnect hydraulic air chucking system on a lathe. It's like a $60,000 option from what I understand. Well, one of the cam bolts is locked up on it, so we have to drill it out inside the machine. Little sketchy, but I'm giving that to my contractor. We'll both be on site at the same customer. I'm going to do the turret alignment, and he's going to drill out the Positron cam bolt, and hope to fucking hell we get that thing out. So Tuesday, back at one of my bigger customers, they have a Bomard ID grinder. Yeah, I think it's an ID grinder. I don't know. They had a short or something in the electrical. We've been waiting a couple of weeks to get electrical schematics for it. They finally got electrical schematics. My contractor went in there last week. Couldn't really do anything without an electrical schematic. He just checked some cabling and whatnot. So they finally got the electrical schematic from the distributor. So I'm going to go back in there next week and start troubleshooting and see if I can't find what the fuck is going on. They also have a chip conveyor belt that they need help with replacing. So I think I'm just gonna give that to my contractor. We'll both be on site at the same customer. I don't know how long it's gonna take or how long I'll be there, but I have a feeling it'll probably be a couple days out of the week trying to troubleshoot and whatnot. Um, there is a newer customer that has a Mazak lathe, and they have an A6 alarm on the drive, which is a fan alarm, but it's throwing a constant warning alarm on the machine. We've known about it for a couple of weeks now. I just haven't had any time to get in to, get the fan out, clean it up, put it back in, see if it works. If not, replace the fan. I reached out to the customer. We'll try to schedule it. I think I might have some time to do it this upcoming week and go from there. So, Houston is coming up. I think Houston will be the following week, heading down there to reinstall those DMU 5-axis machines at the customer. I think I'll be there for 2 weeks, roughly. And then we'll just go from there. We'll see what scheduling is picking up, which is good, really good. It's still not really getting any new customer inquiries for the most part, which I guess is kind of good because we are kind of struggling keeping up right now. Kind of, not really, but we'll stay at it. It's a lot of positive things right now. I also sat down with a potential new sales contractor. If anybody listened to my podcast, I don't know, like a month or two ago, I talked about bringing on a salesperson. Well, we're going to transition out of that one and move to a different one. Just a different strategy on my end. I'm just trying to a few different things. Since they're a contractor, there's really no obligation to keep them for any extended period of time or anything like that. Try it out. If it doesn't work, then we start moving on to something else. So I'm just trying different things. I don't want to grow too fast and I can't keep up, but my contractor is considering coming on full time rather soon. So we kind of need that work to come in if we can get it to come in. So we'll see. But I think he's going to start in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from Monday. I think he's going to come in and start picking up basically where the last contractor left off at. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, motivational time. Distractions, man. Now, you got to cut the fucking distractions if you are trying to grow or progress or build or better yourself. You have to cut out the distractions. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to come to a point where you need to grow, or now maybe it could be business, it could be personal, it could be in the gym, or just in some aspect you need to grow. You're going to be surrounded by distractions. Distractions are everywhere. Social media, people, events. Like these are all potential distractions from holding you back or just kind of offsetting you on a different course rather than being on the course that you need to be in order to grow. You have to cut these fucking distractions out. This is something that I have been trying to, pinpoint in my life and cutting out the distractions on my end, because I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to grow not just my business but personal wise, gym wise, you know what I mean? So cutting distractions has been something that I've been trying to navigate for the last couple of months. And I have my days where I get kind of like I step back, or I make 2 steps forward and I make 3 steps back because of distractions. And there's a lot of other things that, sometimes you can't control, the things that are walking you back from your progress. But the distractions, for the most part, you can control. And you have to categorize the ones that are going to potentially hold you back from growth. And you have to cut those out. It might suck. It might be it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you is cutting the distraction that you know needs to be cut. So identifying those and cutting them is, man, it's the development of character behind doing that is, I think, very, very healthy for growing. And it develops you to a point to where if you can cut distractions and grow, man, you can be fucking unstoppable, dude. Like in any aspect of life. And a lot of people, I think, are so easily distracted that they just, their true potential is never reached because of distractions. And they don't put 100% focus on what they need to do to go forward. It could take a year, it could take months, it could take days, depending on what you're trying to excel in. You have to cut those distractions for however long of time that you have to reach the goal that you want to get to. And I think cutting people out is the hardest distraction. And if you can learn to, it sounds shitty, man, it really does, but if you can learn to cut people out of your life so you have the full focus of progressing, you got to do it. You have to. It sucks. It sucks because there are some people that want to be in your life, but you can't progress with them in your life, and you have to cut them out. And that sucks. It fucking sucks, man. But you have to do it. Especially if you know that they're holding you back. And it may not just be their fault directly, you know? It just might be your relationship between them two, but between the two of you. You know, you might just have that relationship or friendship or, you know, that is just toxic for the most part, and holding you back from being able to grow and man, show that true potential of where you could be in life. And you got to do it, man. It sucks, but you got to do it. All right. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. This is another short one. Not a whole lot to talk about, which I guess is good. Not good? I don't know. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. My name's Taylor Goodyear, and I own TG CNC Service out of Wisconsin. We'll see you guys.